preparing to stream the live. Well, hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon for the very sisterly takeover. So my name is Jacob. I'm the creator of A Very Queer Book Club, and I have two absolutely phenomenal sister duos with me today to chat. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon for the very... Turn down the volume on that. Anyway, so to chat about the upside of unrequited film adaptations. So first things first, if we can start with the Shakespeare sisters. First, will you just introduce yourselves very quickly and let us know who you are?
I'm Hilary. And I'm Anna. And yeah, we're the Shakespeare sisters, and we're filmmakers that are going to be adapting The Upside of Unrequited.
And then Caroline.
I am Caroline, and I am Becky's little sister. I'm a teacher. I don't know what you want to know.
That's great. That's great. No, anything. And then Becky.
And I'm Becky. I am the older sister of Caroline and also Sam. We have a brother too.
Yeah.
And I am a fan of the Shakespeare sisters and a fan of Jacob. So I'm
And
thrilled
we are
to
a
be
fan
here.
of you. So the first thing I would like to chat about is, because I mean, I think a lot of people are here because we love The Upside of Unrequited. So I'd love to hear a little bit from the Shakespeare sisters about kind of how you got started in filmmaking and kind of some of your past projects and kind of where your passion comes from.
Yeah, how we got started is kind of like, I guess being sisters, we kind of always making films as sisters. Like we were actually talking about this earlier, that we think it started from like, we were always playing games together, you know, with like dolls and stuff. And then we were like, it's getting embarrassing, so let's just film it and now it's okay. So, but yeah, then we kind of started doing it like properly, like professionally a couple of years ago, I suppose, maybe like, yeah, a few years ago. And we made our first feature called Soundtrack to 16, which came out in the UK last year, but it's still in festivals in the US. And then, and yeah, then we've also made another film which is almost finished, called Much Ado, which is a Shakespeare adaptation. And then we thought the next step is we want to adapt the book. And then, yeah, I don't know how much details go in here, but basically we found this company to help us like match us up with books, and we were telling them like the kind of film we wanted to make, and they sent us a bunch of books to consider. And like The Upside was just like stood out so much from we were just like, I read the blurb and I was like, this is the one. And then I read like the first page, and then I was like,
my next question was how you found the book and kind of what your first initial reactions were, some of the things that really sparked your interest from the beginning.
Yeah, it was just, I mean, well, first of all, I just like all of the stuff it was about was exactly what I wanted to do. I mean, the fact it was two sisters, and then the kind of the whole like unrequited romance and being an awkward teenager and not having had your first kiss, and like all of that stuff is very much our experiences and like something we really enjoy kind of exploring. And then, yeah, started reading it, and just like that first bit where she's wondering if mermaids pee, I was like, I just love her. So I just knew straight away, and I asked the book company to put us in touch before we'd even like finished, I think, the first chapter.
Yeah, Hilary was just so in love with it. Like, yeah, you read like, I remember you were just reading it so fast, and then
and I couldn't catch up.
Yeah, and then you were like, why are you so slow? And I was like, I don't know. But yeah, we just loved it so much, and yeah. And then I think, yeah, then we got in touch with Becky and had our first call and sent her our film. And yeah, as Hill said, there's like quite a lot of overlapping things. Like the first kiss thing is also in our film. So it's kind of something we thought about before.
Yeah, and I remember that first call we had such a high after talking to you. We
yeah.
Like, oh, I'm gonna work so
we
much
went to
together.
the pub when we were getting drunk with our friends, and we were like, oh yeah, Becky's so cool. Yeah, it had such a great time.
And so then one of the biggest, obviously, themes that you mentioned already and in the book is sisterhood. And so that we have the twin sisters, Cassie and Molly. So I want to know, between the two of you and between Caroline and Becky, who is like Molly and who is more like Cassie? So I guess let's start with Caroline and Becky. Who do you think is more like Cassie and who do you think is more like Molly?
This is like not a straightforward question. I'll let Caroline answer first, but then I'm going to answer as well.
Yeah, so I read the book and I was like, Becky, you wrote a book about me and I had no idea. Like, I felt like she had divulged all of my secrets. And like anytime any of my friends, or honestly like my colleagues, like my boss, like all sorts of people. Anytime they read it, they were all like, oh, it all makes sense. Like, so I'm Molly. But Becky's kind of Molly.
Well, yeah, like, I mean, I don't disagree. You're very much like Molly. But, you know, writing it, I mean, I just like, you know, was channeling so much of myself with Molly. And it's not so much that Caroline, I was putting Caroline into Cassie. A lot of times, like my characters, I do end up putting a lot of my friends and family kind of make their way into characters, but it's not like a one-to-one thing. Like if you want to find Caroline, she's in Kate in Waiting. She's Kate's mom, kind of. But like with the Jewish dialed up a little bit. But but yeah, so like I wrote this entire book feeling like very exposed too. Like I was just like, well, here's Molly, like, or now you'll know. And to hear Caroline read it and to very firmly come out of it thinking she was Molly and that I had positioned myself as Cassie. I mean, it's kind of flattering that that you think like I kind of have my life together to that degree.
Well, and I think that just speaks, Becky, to how your characters are all so highly relatable that I just feel like, I mean, I feel like every single one of your main characters that I've read, I've just been like, yep, that's me. I see that. Like even in Kate in Waiting, which comes out to not tomorrow, Tuesday. Like it's just highly relatable after highly relatable. And so what about you, Hillary and Anna?
Yeah, I think different bits of us are like, because we kind of like switch with like who's more introvert and who's more extrovert sometimes. Like Hillary's definitely more of the extrovert, so I feel like she's more Cassie, and I'm a bit more like Molly. But then in other ways,
that's not what you said the other day.
I know, but in other ways, I feel I don't know. It's yes, because
yeah, I guess you were first of all you were like, oh, obviously you're more Molly, Hillary, because I was the one that was all like, I used to be really insecure as a teenager, but I hadn't had my first kiss yet, and that was like quite a big thing for me when I was a teenager. So I feel like that whole part of Molly I really identify with. But then yeah, I guess you are more kind of Anna's more the one that. I'm always the one that's like, yeah, let's go out. I'm always trying to leave,
and you're always trying to stay. But then, and Hillary's really good at like just dumping me in situations, like forcing me to go to something, or like, I don't know. So that's quite Cassie-ish. But then in other ways, I think, I don't know, like I can be a bit more harsh like Cassie. Probably.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm kind of giving myself a bad quality to Cassie. But I think she can be like sometimes a little bit biting, a little bit like savage, and I can be a bit like that in arguments as well. So I kind of related to her. I was like, yeah, sometimes you just can't control it.
That's the Becky quality of Cassie.
Yeah, well, I mean, when we were little, like I just
feud words.
I was a verbal fighter, and Caroline was a physical fighter. Yeah, hair puller, pincher, broom thrower once, I think, right? Like, but I probably deserve it.
So what are some, I mean, and this is a question for all four of you. What are some, I guess, for the Shakespeare Sisters themes that you're really excited to explore in this? And then for Caroline and Becky, what are some themes that you really love from the book that you're kind of excited to see explored on screen? Whoever wants to start with that.
We can start, I guess. Yeah. Well, one of the things I'm quite excited about is that whole thing, like how Molly feels when Cassie gets her girlfriend, because I think she feels quite like lonely and left behind. And I think I don't really see that much in films. It's usually like you're so happy about the romance, and I feel like in real life people are always so like, they're like, I've got a girlfriend or boyfriend, aren't you happy for me? And then you're just expected to be happy for them, and no one ever kind of says that it's okay to feel not that you're not happy for them. Obviously you're happy for them to get somebody, but also feel a bit sad for yourself, because it is hard to have them kind of like, yeah, like it says in the middle, have someone else become their main person when you've been someone's main person, and like that's obviously really difficult, and I don't think people talk about it much. So that's my one.
Anything else?
Other themes, or yeah, I mean, I guess to add to that, like that's kind of something that we've talked about a lot in life, like with friends as well. And so I guess that was kind of the thing, that one of the things that kind of like really attracted us to it. And I guess like that whole like fear of rejection thing, I find like, I think it's quite fun to explore, and like kind of really relatable as well, because I think both of us kind of had that as teenagers. So like, I think I'm going to quite enjoy writing that part. And yeah.
And feeling insecure about the way you look, and thinking like, oh, like automatically, you know, how she thinks, I don't know how many spoilers I'm going to give, but maybe she thinks someone likes someone else, and then she's like, I don't know, like she just kind of assumes that they wouldn't like her. I think that's kind of something I can relate to as well.
Fear of rejection, absolutely. Like, it's so great, yeah. Caroline or Becky, do you have any themes you're excited to see, or can you know?
I think maybe for me, the idea that you can have this vision of the person you're going to end up with for so long, and you're like, oh, it's definitely going to be this type of person, and like I'm going to end up with this super, I don't know, whatever. And then the idea that like your person may actually be totally different, and like just the idea of opening yourself up to someone who may be a little different than the first thing that popped into your mind that you idealized from the time you were little.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited for all of this. It's funny because I never know like what parts of the story people are gonna like pull out and connect with. But I think like the things, when I think back to this book, one of the things that, you know, I always remember vividly about, you know, like writing it, what was really important for me to kind of pin down is like that feeling of having a crush, like what it feels like at what point like do you officially declare it, like I have a crush on this person, you know, because a crush is slightly different than just like attraction, you know. And so yeah, I guess maybe I'll say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Caroline, I'm going to put Becky on the hot seat right here. So I have some questions for you about your sister. So we talked a little bit about who would be Cassie, who would be Molly, but I'm curious, as you've read Becky's books, which one of her main characters did you read and immediately say, that's Becky? Like, which one do you think is most like Becky?
Actually, Simon.
Okay.
I always say that, nobody ever believes me.
I'm gonna go mix with elements of Molly, but I think a lot of the inner dialogue that like I've kind of seen poke out is Simon. And also the sweetness and the like optimism. I think this Simon has a lot of your personality overall, but all the characters, like they're bits of Leah, and yeah.
I think actually what that I've had that thought as well, as because I've started reading your books before I really knew you, Becky, and now I've gotten to know you over the past few years, and so now as I read these, I'm like, oh, that's Becky. That like these pieces of all of these characters I see so much. So I absolutely know what you're saying, Caroline. With she's kind of interwoven into all of them.
Really, it could have just been like Simon's dad is Becky.
Incredible. And so did you always know that Becky was going to be a writer? And if not, what did you think she was going to do?
Well, I think we all knew it was something that Becky really, really loved. Like, well, I was a kid who like really didn't want to read until I was like 20. No, I read a little bit before that, but like I wasn't a huge reader.
Once Caroline told me she like just like lost it one day. She was like, I hate reading, I hate learning. She is now a teacher. She is a graduate of Harvard School of Education.
Iconic.
It felt really real at the time. So yeah, but I think we knew it was a possibility. Becky has probably like thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of pages of things she had written that I just found while cleaning out like some bins, especially recently. So yes, Becky's always loved writing. I will say, like, when she was getting her doctorate in psychology, I did think she was going to be a psychologist.
That's fair.
But I also thought that maybe we would both grow up and be pioneers, because that was a big part of our childhood, our play set, or possibly like a doll clothing maker. That could have been another thing. It was definitely a possibility for Becky to be a writer, but I think there were a lot of possibilities in my mind for what she could be.
And then my last question, with Becky in the hot seat, can you think of or remember any like silly or funny stories that she wrote as a child that, you know, maybe could be her next big book, do you think?
Yeah, Beauregard and Belvedere. One of Becky's plays that we were going to bring to like the children's hospital near us. I was in elementary school, she was in middle school, and we had like a full pit orchestra planned. It was about like a dragon in particular named Cheese.
It's all in What If It's Us, y'all. Like totally late.
Yeah. So like that could definitely make a bigger appearance. We still have the script if you would like to make that into the next Shakespeare film after this.
I feel like it's more likely to be the next Friends Forever, which is
okay. I didn't know if I was allowed to bring up Friends Forever.
That was my debut. We can't say too much about it, but it's
Friends Forever was
bad and problematic.
purely inspired by Lurleen McDaniel's books. Becky's favorites. They were all these horrific situations that children found themselves in about like baby Lucy has AIDS and like 16 and dying.
Yeah.
And so Becky wrote a spin-off on that. It was a musical that I started when I was 9. And my best friend died of AIDS. But it was like treated very well. It was treated like very gracefully.
So maybe so
like
Becky has playwright.
Yeah,
Playwright in her future.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay, I love
it was
that.
a tragedy. It was like it kind of had the like severe tone to it, but I don't think I had the range. So.
And so this is a question for all four of you. I don't know if it's really a question, it's just, you know, kind of an observance. So we have these 26 crushes. Do we think that in some world in the future, it'll ever be, can we have this be as iconic as Ramona's seven evil exes? Because that's all I can think about every time I hear Molly's 26 crushes is Ramona's several evil exes. So do you see it that way? Do you think it's going to be that iconic? Are we going to see, I guess this is more a question for the Shakespeare sisters. Are we going to get to see these exes? Because I want it to be iconic.
I mean, the first like kind of draft, which is like really, really early.
Not even all written.
Yeah, we did start with the crushes and kind of like flashbacks of them. And I think like, I don't know whether we'll keep that in, but I think it'd be really fun to like see a bunch of them in a go and kind of see like Molly's kind of, and I know we're talking about Becky, like how you define like the moment where Molly describes like the feeling of a crush. And I really love that, like how it feels like you're going to throw up and all these like horrible things, but then that one kind of connecting thing that like something great is about to happen. And so I really want to try and capture that feeling like at the beginning of the film, hopefully, and kind of have that. Yeah, but I don't know with the 26 if we'll manage to get all of them in.
Not. I mean, did you ever have that thought writing? Because that's all I've ever been able to think about since hearing Molly's 26 crushes is Ramona. Did that ever cross your brain, or am I just weird?
Absolutely not, because this whole time I'm sitting here thinking like I'm assuming it's not the Ramona Quimby sequel that you're talking about.
You don't. Oh no, it's Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh, I haven't seen it. I know.
Oh, he has to fight Ramona's seven evil exes to get to date her.
I haven't seen
And
it.
it's like,
yeah.
so not, I'm not weird. I just sound like a crazy person. I've been sitting here talking about things you don't know. Great.
No, I was like, I mean, if Ramona Quimby did grow up to have, like, I feel like she could take them. So I'm totally here for the spinoff of Ramona Quimby age 8.
I love that. So I now would like, I have a little like sisters tag. So it's a couple questions I want to go through, but just so everyone knows watching after this, we're going to go into some questions that you guys have. So I have some from my Instagram story that people asked. Throw some questions in the chat if you would like to know anything. Obviously, you know, the Shakespeare sisters are just kind of getting started on this, so there's no details that we can really go into. But if we can talk about it, we will. So basically, a couple of these questions are going to be just one or the other. So if the first question, for example, is who had the best sense of style. So, and you're just going to point. So if you're in the same frame, the Shakespeare sisters, you can point at each other or at yourself. And for Caroline and Becky, either point at yourself or, I mean, I don't know where you are on each other's screens, but just put your hand up if it's the other person. And we're going to go through these quickly. Some of them might stop and talk about a little bit more because there might be an interesting story there. So first, who has the best sense of style?
You think me? I'm just waiting.
You have to react straight away.
So we have, okay.
I'm putting my hand up, but that means Caroline. That feels like
hand up. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So pointing. It doesn't matter if you're actually.
I'll put C for Caroline. Okay.
C for Caroline. Okay.
Does that look like a B to y'all or a D?
Yes.
The D
it looks like a B. Yeah.
Okay. Just making.
So basically, everyone just said each other. We're the loving group we have here.
That's true. I do pick out your clothes, but they look better on you. So I don't know if that.
I'm like you're like my stylist.
Yeah. Who had the messiest room growing up? Okay. I'm glad we're all in agreement there. Did you get along as children? This will be one we have to talk about. Did you get along growing up? You did? Okay. So the Shakespeare sisters did, but Caroline and Becky did. We're okay. Okay, this is one each of you will have a chance to go. What is your funniest or favorite moment of your sibling growing up? Just a fun memory. Whoever's ready to go.
I think maybe Becky and I, one time that we really did unite was against the boys down the street, and we called them the bad boys because we were so original. And Becky cleverly came up with our dad with the idea of making them liver milkshakes to look like Oreo milkshakes. She's always loved Oreo. And so I think one of my favorite memories in life is the two of us trying to go deliver the liver milkshakes to the bad boys. But then they weren't home.
I think their mom was home and she was like, oh, they aren't here, but like, do you want me to and we were like,
you're like, no,
that's okay.
Where's the appearance of that in a book?
But that's one of my favorite memories.
That's a good one.
I'm trying to think of Hillary used to I'm trying to think of crushes. I had one where Hillary drafted a text. This is actually more like a horror story from what I was we had this plan where she was gonna text the guy I like, and then we'd go, oh no, that was my sister, but I do have a crush on you. But then I just backed out majorly. And I was like, I don't know why she did that. And I just basically I basically just kind of threw you in the, but
Dad had a massive go at me because I kind of really screwed you over.
But it was I just had no nerve. That's quite Molly-ish actually. But yeah, it was just he wrote this text and we spent ages composing it. And it was like, I look into your beautiful blue eyes and I know it's love. And he just replied saying, I don't have blue eyes. And we were like, that's it. And then we were like, oh God. Yeah. That was quite traumatizing. Yeah.
Did you have any fun nicknames for each other growing up?
I mean,
Obviously, we're leading with love here. We're spreading joy. We're spreading kindness.
I'll give the origin of this. So like, so we are much older than our little brother. So when he was a baby, he couldn't say Caroline. So he would call her something that sounded like Caloin. So for years, and then of course, and some of my friends still call her this, just call her Loin, like Loin. So.
She also told me my Hebrew name was Pastrami. And
I did tell you your Hebrew name was Pastrami. Yeah.
Incredible.
I think we didn't have so many nicknames for Becky. We did call her Beck for a while because she had one of those like bracelets that had been woven with her name in it, like one of those friendship bracelet things, and it didn't look like a Y, it looked like a 4, and for some reason that really like stuck in my heart, even though it's not actually funny.
For some reason, it's because Dad.
Okay, because of Dad
for like 20 years. That's probably why it stuck.
Yeah. But so I think sometimes I'm still like, hey, Beck for. But it's not like when Becky called me like loin drops or something with a Z.
Yeah, with a Z, yeah.
And you are not to call me loin drops.
You call me box face sometimes.
Yeah, it went from Hillary to box, boxy, box face. Everything box related, even though it's
not
really...
actually about my face being a box though, which you might think, because actually now I'm looking at it in Zoom. But it was because she called me Hillebox and then it went to boxy.
Then it went to boxy. Yeah, I don't know. I just think compounds that go with box, even though that's not even in your name.
No. I don't know. I always called like Anna, her full name's Anna Elizabeth, and I always used to call her Anna Elizabeth like all the time, which I find kind of weird looking back. Like when I was a child, it was always like Anna Elizabeth wants this juice, or like I don't know. I never shortened it at all, which is almost weirder than having a weird shortening. Yeah, but then I guess it moved out to Annie.
It sounds like a children's book. Like when you read her diary, it's like, and Anna Elizabeth wanted to go to the shops.
Okay, if you got called that your sibling was in jail, what would be the first crime that came to your mind that they had committed? What have they done?
Protesting. It would be 100%. It would definitely be standing up for the underdog.
That's so wholesome.
That's
it is, but like Becky's a wholesome person.
Yeah.
But like that would be what it is.
I was gonna say drunk and disorderly.
I guess I was going to be nicer. I was going to think that you might have just got swept up in someone else's problems, because I feel like sometimes, like the people we hang out with can be more drunk and disorderly than necessarily we are.
Like trying to deal with someone else being drunk and disorderly.
Like quite often maybe I get in trouble trying to sort things out, but it's not really because they're an underdog, it's probably just because they're my friend and they are in the wrong.
Just coming, sorry, that's my friend?
Yeah, it's like, please don't throw my friend out, he's okay.
Yeah. Are there places where it's illegal to sing?
I'm sure. I mean, if Footloose exists, so I'm sure there's the Footloose version of singing.
Oh yeah, whatever the Footloose town is where you're not allowed to sing, that's the first place I'd look for the jail that would be holding Caroline. So
okay. Well, then I'll skip down to that one. Who's the better singer of the two of the sisters?
That's not fair. She's a music teacher. She's literally a music teacher.
Oh yeah, that's not fair. Yeah, I knew you were a teacher. I didn't know you were a music teacher. Okay.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, that's not fair.
Like, Becky's pretty good though. Like we have some great renditions of like the Christopher Robin song, all Indigo Girls songs in harmony. Like
of course. Yeah. Who's better at math? Okay. Oh.
Is this a frozen situation?
Jacob's frozen.
Oh.
Still frozen.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, I've got frozen Jacob.
Hello?
We can hear you.
I hear you.
Me, my internet.
New frozen frame.
I can't believe the internet's worse in New York than it is like, in like England in the deep south.
Hello?
Hey,
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
back. Sorry. I'm so sorry. Who is the better cook? If your sister was an animal, what animal would they be?
Ooh.
Well,
Yeah,
we've got to be our bears, don't we?
oh,
I know it's bears.
that's
you're there
her.
too.
That's
Yeah.
my bear.
I think Becky would be like a basset hound just because you grew up having like basset hound collections and
I see it, you know.
basset hound, but just you love them so wholeheartedly. You still love them,
I do, yeah.
and I still love them.
And then let's see what we're skipping around. Okay, so the last one for in this the sister tag, and this one, hopefully you will be kind and sweet to each other. I would like you to describe your sister in 3 words or less.
Wow. Is that like the deadline?
I spent all that time worrying about who's going to go first and not thinking of the things.
Okay, I can start. Okay, so I want to go for fun, empathetic, and smart. I've left out the bad stuff because there's only 3 words, so it'd be quite a big proportion. But yeah, I think like that kind of captures.
Okay, so someone else go next. I'm still thinking.
I could go. Okay. It's not gonna be bad. It's not gonna be bad. I was gonna say sweet, funny, bossy.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think for you, Beck, compassionate, witty, and intense.
That's like a variation on my 3 too. I feel like you're not wrong.
I'm still struggling. I don't know why. I just keep thinking like nice and think that's a bad useless word.
It's just nice. That's it.
And I said 3 words or less. So if there's one word that is
I've
perfect,
got more than nice. I definitely do. I just can't say the same ones she uses for me. I want to say find a word for like smart, but one that's more like the studious kind of like looking things up, kind of like thorough, maybe.
Thorough.
That's lovely. Like knowledgeable, maybe. Anyway,
I'll take it. Knowledgeable.
also fun.
Recycling, just recycling. Yeah.
It's really hard. I don't know why I'm so bad at it. Creative.
Oh, okay, that's quite good. I feel bad enough about yours now, actually.
amazing. Okay, well, that was just the fun sister tag. So now I want to jump into some questions from other people. But before we do that, I want to let everyone know watching that we are going to be doing a giveaway of a copy of Upside of Unrequited. All you have to do is go to the Instagram post I made about this event and comment. So you have to follow the Shakespeare sisters and follow me and follow Becky. Caroline, your Instagram is private, so I assume you're.
I also have only like tagged stuff from my wedding.
I was like, sure, you're not looking for kind of, so follow the Shakespeare sisters, follow me, follow Becky, comment on my post, one name of a previous film by the Shakespeare sisters, and what Reed's favorite candy are in the Upside of Unrequited. So those are the 2 questions you have to answer in a comment on my post, and we will pick in 24 hours. So tomorrow at 1:00 Eastern time, I will pick a winner and I will get it to Becky, and someone will win a copy of The Upside of Unrequited.
And I will sign and personalize it. And honestly, I can also like, I just called her bossy, but I'm like, I can make her sign it. I can make Caroline sign it too.
Look,
He's glamorous signature.
So,
Look, it's gonna go on eBay for thousands.
one of a kind, so.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get to some questions. So the first thing, one of the big things people were wondering, and I think you guys wanted to address, was would we be seeing any Creekwood characters, specifically Abby, in this film adaptation?
Okay, I got this one. So basically, and I think this might not come as a surprise if kind of you've been hearing me talk about, just the Leah on the offbeat question and everything, but the fact remains that Fox and Disney hold the rights to every character who appeared in Love, Simon, or Love, Victor, but they basically we cannot use any of the Creekwood characters. That is, a legal issue, so it's not something that was even a question. So Upside can only exist if, if we do so without kind of infringing upon any of the Creekwood space there.
But I think the amazing thing about this book is that it stands on its own. I think it's going to be incredible. I mean, I think it's going to be amazing. So amazing. Someone wanted to know kind of how long this has been in the works, kind of when you found the book, how long you've been having meetings, kind of the timeline that you've been working on this.
I think people really know how slow making a film the whole process is. So, because people are already asking us when's it out? And we're like, this is early days. We really only we started, I guess we first read the book quite a few months ago, but we only just optioned it. So we're still really early days. We're just writing it. So it's a while till we'll be shooting. So yeah.
And then, so someone had asked, and a really specific question, but I kind of wanted to make it more general. In terms of the soundtrack or music that, either for this film or in just films in general, kind of who are some artists that you would love to work with or kind of have in your, musically that you would like to use in either this film or just in general that you kind of love? Soundtrack wise.
Yeah. This has just come into my head because I was just reading the chapter earlier today where Molly writes down the songs of the noughties that she was these are the songs that were in the noughties. I feel it would be kind of fun to get them in. What was it, Skater Boy and I don't know.
Yeah, all the songs they list that were terrible that they're going to play in the mall or the shopping centre. Yeah,
and we could
those are all my favourite songs.
To sneak them in.
And then someone was asking in the chat, and I also got this on my Instagram story. What are some characters or parts that you're specifically most excited to either for the two of y'all to bring to the screen or Caroline or Becky to see? What are some specific either moments or characters?
I kind of love all the characters. So and also I think with this, most of the characters that are they're also kind of indispensable. Apart from the ones that are being dispensable, but the rest of them. But Molly and Cassie and Mina and their mums and Xavier, they're all kind of and Olivia, they're all. I feel it's actually quite a small world, so they're all quite featured. But I guess in terms of moments, I don't know. I remember the first moment we both felt was really cinematic was that bit where her mum's driving her. When Nadine's driving Molly to go and see the White House lit up, and we just felt I was really excited to kind of do that. I guess there's so much of it that I'm excited to do. So every time we're reading
that again, where I don't know. I think drives can be so romantic, and it's not really I just think in England you don't really go for a drive like that either. But when I was reading it, I was just it's such a lovely moment, and when they're they all have they both have tears in their eyes. I was actually reading this earlier and my eyes got teary and I was oh my god. Yeah, so I think that moment, it just felt really cinematic when we were reading it, and then it's one of those moments you just feel you can see on screen automatically.
And then just really quickly, we can go back to, and if Caroline or Becky have anything, but actually someone just put into the chat, and I want to ask, because you mentioned the White House being lit up. So they want to know, will the film still take place in 2015 with the background being kind of marriage equality? Is that still, because
that's definitely the intention. I guess like there's still a lot of drafts to go through, so I can never promise.
Of course.
But that's where we're at. Yeah, I think so. I think it's quite a nice part of the book. So.
Is there anything, Becky or Caroline, you're really excited to see?
I mean, one thing in particular, this is just like, oh my gosh, like selfishly as a consumer of film, I'm really excited to see Molly, because there are not a lot of fat girls still on screen. And so I'm really excited just, for, this movie to be a movie that would have really like meant the world to me as a teen. Yeah.
Okay. And is anything you have, Caroline?
I think I'm just excited for like the nerds to win. Like selfishly, I'm like, yay! This is perfect.
Amazing. And so I got a question, and I don't know if the two of Shakespeare Sisters, if you've filmed anything in the past year, but someone was asking, what has it been like working in the film industry during, COVID, and what has that been like? And then I have a second part to that question, but I'll let you talk about that.
So we haven't been shooting, which is lucky. But we've mostly been working on post-production for a different film. So that was kind of all pretty easy. And then casting a film that we're producing. And then at the same time, writing a lot of things. So it hasn't kind of affected us too much, actually. And I think with timings, everything is kind of, we were kind of like getting a lot of things off the ground, and like, it's kind of hit us at not too bad of a stage, really.
And then the second part of that, I would love to hear from, the four of you, kind of what has been in the past year, something that you found kind of hope, or what have you kind of been keeping your mental health, TV shows, reading books, movies, what have you been consuming that's really kind of kept your outlook positive? Hopefully it's positive.
Handmaid's Tale. No.
Oh gosh.
Oh.
For me, Animal Crossing, absolutely. Like, it is like, I can slip into that island world for hours at a time if I have hours. So.
And you can go to your Animal Crossing island, which is just iconic now.
Oh yeah, you can still go. Yeah. I think you can still go there because I haven't shut the dream down. So yeah.
Dreamy.
What about? I guess we've just done a lot of like going for walks and having fires.
Yeah,
fires have been a big thing this year because there's not a lot to do.
A fire. Like, I've seen her just stay up all night until like the sun rises, and Hillary's just sitting by the fire just having thoughts. Usually with one other person,
not just on my own. Yeah, usually.
But sometimes she's the last man standing at the end of like a fire we've had. She just loves like. Yeah,
we've got like a fire pit now, and it's just like the best purchase ever. So
yeah, it's kept us
quite a random one, but.
What about you, Caroline?
I'm having a baby. Am I allowed to say that? That's been keeping me going.
That's so exciting.
So little Max is coming in about 10 weeks.
Oh my God. Okay, well that would keep you busy.
So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I also got married and bought a house during COVID.
What a year.
I've had a lot going on.
And so I'm seeing some other questions kind of come in, but a lot of them I know are things that are far in the future, like casting and release date. So I want to know, Shakespeare Sisters, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you can talk about in terms of the movie? Or Becky, because you're working as the executive producer, I believe, correct? So is there anything that we haven't talked about that you would like to talk about or want to tell us?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't think there's anything to give away right now in terms of like news. But yeah, we have basically just been the kind of first stages have been writing the first draft of the script, which is really, really really early. And then part of that has been like just reading the book like loads of times and then trying to like have it in our memories as like you wouldn't even have to look at it to keep writing kind of things. So that's kind of been like the early stages. So that's kind of what we mostly.
I've got the audiobook, so I just listen to it on the bus.
At some point I'll just know it word for word. But...
Well, amazing. Well, that is all I have, and that's all the questions that I've seen. So don't forget to, if you would like to enter the giveaway, it's comment on my post about the event with a name of a previous film by the Shakespeare Sisters and the name of Reed's favorite candy. And for all the most up-to-date, news about the movie, follow the Shakespeare Sisters on Instagram. And Becky has a book coming out tomorrow. It's Sunday, Tuesday, in 2 days. So make sure you're getting on that. And then tomorrow, I also Becky and I are launching a giveaway together. So be on the lookout for that. Is there anything else that you guys would like to leave us with?
Thank you so much for doing this. This is
of course. This has been a blast. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been really so fun. I've enjoyed this class. Yeah. Even though I couldn't think of 3 words to describe that, I still feel bad about thorough.
I put you on the spot. It's totally fine. Well, thank you guys so much. This has been a pleasure. And so, the giveaway is open for the next 24 hours. And again,